Okay guys, I'm here at my house, at my boat right now, and today we're going to be talking about some of the baits. If you haven't seen my video from yesterday, I talked about how you don't have to have the most expensive rods, the most expensive reels, anything like that. So today we're going to be talking about how you don't have to have the most expensive baits either. So, that being said, I have a number of different baits here. That I'll be showing you to show that you don't have to have the most expensive thing. Okay, so the first bait we're going to be talking about today is crankbaits. Okay, right here. This little square bill right here. This bait right here. You don't need to go and spend $8 to $10 to $12 to $15 on a crankbait to catch big fish. They do not care about price at all. What matters is how they run, which this one, I'm pretty sure this one was about, in my normal range, about $4 to $5, probably. And I'm pretty sure this is a Walmart brand. But, I mean, that don't mean anything. I've caught big fish on crankbaits that I've got the Walmart brand, and they're no different. You can go and see this bait that's got a name on it, like Strike King or, you know, 6 cents or something like that, and this bait will be every bit of $10, $8 to $10. Why are you going to spend that extra money just for the name on the package? It doesn't even matter when you can go and spend $4 or $5 and get the same bait, just a different name. Same thing with all these right here. Same thing with this one. I bought this square bill probably, well, I don't think I bought it. I think my dad bought it, or I might have bought it. I don't know. But same thing with this one. We don't go out and spend a ton of money on these baits. You don't have to. Like I said, I caught multiple big fish. Same thing with all these. They're all hung up together, but, I mean, same thing with all these. Now, this bait right here, this one on the top is a user and a crawl pattern. This one may have costed me about, I don't know, $8 to $10. And the only reason I got it is because I really like the pattern on it and I think it'll really work. But I don't go out and spend $8 to $10 on every crankbait that I buy. Alright, next, jigs. You don't have to go out and buy the most expensive jig. I mean, baits and the trailers too. All I do is I go out, buy a little $1, $2 jig. Because, I mean, most of the time, if you're like me, you're going to end up losing them to a rock or something in the lake. But this jig right here, all I've done is taken a speed crawl, a Zoom speed crawl, put it on the back as a trailer. It works great. Same thing as a trailer would do that would cost you $5 a pack just for the trailer. All you got to do is bite it off just a little bit and slide it on there. Same thing with this one. This jig is probably $2, like $1.90 something. So $2 jig with the speed crawl on the back, it does great. Alright, so then, now we're going to talk about jerkbaits. Jerkbaits, they get expensive. We all know what I'm talking about. They get expensive. This jerkbait right here, I bet didn't cost me any more than $6 probably. Maybe $8 for this certain one. But I have jerkbaits that I have spent hardly no money on, and I've caught fish on them. Just because the price is high doesn't mean the fish, you're going to catch a big fish on it. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money on baits and stuff like that to catch big fish and to catch fish. I know I've done it, been doing it my whole life. I've never spent a ton of money for one single lure. Never. So, same thing, and this one's a big, big thing. Frogs. Frogs get expensive, and we all know this. Just because it has a certain name on it doesn't mean anything. Just because it's got a name, that doesn't mean that you're going to catch a big fish. Sure, the hook quality and stuff like that might be a little bit better, but this right here is an Ozark Trail Walmart brand frog. I've caught giants on this frog right here. I missed giants on this frog right here. I love this frog. Didn't spend $2 on this frog right here. I have multiple. I still have a ton. I need to go back and pick some more up before summer of next year gets here. But you don't have to go out and spend $10, $8 on a frog that will catch big fish. These little Walmart brand $2 frogs right here would do the same thing that $8 to $10 frog would do. I know I caught a 6 on it last summer on Gaston. Now, that being said, I tell everybody I fish with, and if they fish with me, they know what I'm talking about. I tell them, especially because I just got 2 people into it this past summer, like really into it, and I really taught them some things. And I tell them all the time. I said, do not go out and spend $10 to $12 on one certain frog, because that just happened to be what we were throwing the past summer. I was like, do not do that. I said, go to Walmart, find your little Ozark Trail frog, the Walmart brand frog, for $2, and you would catch the same amount of fish and the same size fish as you would catch with that other one. Now, does that mean that they're not better? No, it doesn't mean that they're not better. Some of them better frogs and more expensive frogs have better, material. They don't rip as easy. They have sharper hooks. They're a little softer maybe. Stuff like that. But, I mean, why, so if you go out, yeah, sure, these might rip a little bit easier. You might catch I've caught a ton of fish on this frog right here. If you go and catch, 10 to 20 fish and it ripped, what have you lost? You've lost $2. You just go back and buy another one, and buy another one, and buy another one. You can buy 10 frogs way cheaper than you can buy 10 expensive frogs like Strike King, Scum Frogs, Pad Crashers, you name it. You can buy 5 of these for the price that you would buy 1 of those. So what are you losing? You're not losing anything. These frogs right here are what I've been throwing all summer. I've caught big fish on them. I've caught little fish on them. I've caught a lot of fish on them. Just because it's got a name and it's expensive doesn't mean that you're going to go out and catch fish and catch big ones at that. Now, another thing I want to talk about real quick is why, do you really need to go out and spend a lot of money on lures and baits and stuff like that? No, there's only a handful that you're going to use certain times of the year. So I'm going to show you mine right now. Summertime, I got the frogs, a crankbait, a jig, and a worm right here. Just like that. This handful of baits right here is all you need. That's all I throw during the summer. Sure, I switch this worm out a lot from a speed crawl to other creature baits and stuff like that, depending on what they're eating. But you don't have to go out and have every bait in your boat to catch fish. You just go out and you figure out what they're eating. So like in the summertime, I throw the frogs, I throw the jigs, I throw the worm, I throw the crankbait. That's all I throw all summer. I don't throw anything else. I don't need to throw anything else. I don't need 1,000 pounds of gear in my boat when I know that I'm not going to throw anything but this handful of baits. Same thing with any season that comes along. At wintertime, you're probably only going to be throwing, maybe a spoon if you're going for the perch or something like that. Or maybe, you might be throwing a rattle trap or something. You might be throwing a jig. Well, you definitely throwing a jig. But you might be throwing a worm. You might be throwing some kind of a jerk bait. Okay? It's 5 baits. That's all you need. You just need them 5 baits, and you can go out and catch fish. So, That being said, you don't need to spend a lot of money on certain baits. That's not going to get you anywhere except get your money spent. You don't need to buy baits with names on them. Just because they have a name doesn't mean anything. They do the same thing them name brands will do. So that being said, if you haven't seen it already, go check out my video down below where I talked about rods and reels, gear, how you don't have to have the most expensive rods and reels to catch big fish. And be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode of Flipping Jigs TV.